But what I want to do is drag in some people to question them so that I can hold Kristi Noem in contempt. Even though the Supreme Court said you didn't even have the authority to issue the order that you issued, Judge. And he said, well, you should have followed it anyways. People are on the airplanes, they're getting flown out. Boasberg says, turn those planes around. And they said, no, they're already outside the United States. This is our jurisdiction. You don't have any jurisdiction, Judge Jeb. Now get out. During proceedings that day, the court's minute entries and other public filings on the docket sheet, and based on my evaluation of those materials, I contributed privileged legal advice to Kristi Noem. Kristi Noem getting threatened by Judge Boasberg, and he's doing it in a very sneaky fashion, as he usually does. He says, I'm not going to hold her in contempt right now, but what I want to do is drag in some people to question them so that I can hold Kristi Noem in contempt. Even though the Supreme Court said you didn't even have the authority to issue the order that you issued, Judge. And he said, well, you should have followed it anyways. And since you didn't, I'm going to hold you in contempt and continue this insane investigation. Of course, this is the case out of DC. It's in the case of JGG versus Trump. This is a group of illegal alien gangbangers. Jeb Boasberg, the judge who apparently approved the non-disclosure orders when spying on the senators, that judge, he is the one presiding over this, and he issued this order. You can see it came down very short order from James Boasberg, Judge Jeb. And he's saying, guess who's going to come in here to testify? This guy right here, Erez Ruvani. In our opinion, the poison pill attorney that the DOJ fired for leaking to the media and for misinterpreting and perverting the case in the first place, saying his withholding of removal order prevented him from going to El Salvador. As we read it, it didn't, clearly. And they didn't even have the A file, apparently, in the original case. Judge Zenas explained that. So Erez Ruvani was the guy who was saying that they were violating all sorts of norms in the DOJ, and he's going to come and explain exactly what's going on here, and we have no hope that he's going to be honest in our opinion. Now, the government shall produce Drew Ensign, another DOJ person, also to come for testimony December 16th. So Erez, the poison pill, is going to come on the 15th, then Drew is going to come on the 16th. Both sides shall appear in person at these hearings, and they're going to have the opportunity to question the witnesses. And what are these leading to? Well, an attack on Kristi Noem. He says, in response to the court's order of November 28th, the government submitted cursory declarations. Remember, Boasberg said, I want declarations from all of you. What did you do? Who was responsible for the decision to not turn those airplanes around when I said, return those gangbangers back to America? I wanted declarations from Kristi Noem and attorneys from the DOJ who advised her. Now, Noem avers that she made the decision to continue the transfer of custody of the Alien Enemies Act detainees who had been removed from the United States before this court entered its TRO on the evening of March 15th. Remember, people are on the airplanes, they're getting flown out. Boasberg says, turn those planes around. And they said, no, they're already outside the United States. This is our jurisdiction. You don't have any jurisdiction, Judge Jeb. Now get out. Now, as this declaration does not provide enough information for the court to determine whether her decision was a willful violation of the court order, okay, so now he's coming for her, the court cannot at this juncture find probable cause that her actions constituted criminal contempt, gearing up to refer her over for prosecution. He says contempt requires finding that the order was clear and reasonably specific. We've already debated this. There was a debate about when the order came out. Was it the oral order or was it the written order from the judge? And by the oral order, there's an argument that that came before the written order. So he gave the oral order. The plane should have been turned around immediately. They waited for the written order. And by the time the written order came down, they were already outside the continental United States and in international territory. And that's number one. Was it clear and specific? He's going to say, of course it was. I'm the judge. I'm very clear. I'm very specific. And two, did the defendant, Kristi, violate the order? And was it willful? Now, a referral for prosecution for Kristi would consequently be premature. And watch him appoint some special prosecutor or something in order to handle this. So a referral for prosecution would be premature, but not out of the question. He's just gearing up for it. So the court thus believes it's necessary to hear witness testimony to better understand the basis of the decision to transfer the deportees out of U.S. custody in the context of the hearing on March 15th, all the way back in 2025. The events surrounding this decision should shed light on this question. And so I want everybody to come in here and I'm going to question them. And this guy, Erez Ruvani, the fired poison pill attorney, is not going to be helpful for Kristi Noem. So he's going to come, and in my thoughts, speculation, of course, he's going to run his mouth and he's going to give Boasberg all of the evidence he needs for a criminal referral. And he'll probably do that. Of course, he's going to say, well, Pam Bondi can't handle this because it's a conflict. So he'll talk about appointing a special prosecutor or somebody to handle this case on its own. So that is from Judge Jeb, and not a surprise, but this is what what we got coming in from Emil Bove. Now, Emil Bove was working on some of this stuff before he went up into the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. You can see he got appointed and confirmed, and he is now over there. So we have a lower level judge, D.C. Boasberg, who is now demanding order or declarations from higher level judges in the Court of Appeals. So Emil Bove, he sent this one in under declaration of penalty of perjury. Said, I'm submitting this declaration to you, Jeb. On March 15th, I was serving as the DOJ's Principal Associate Deputy Attorney General. I left that role at the DOJ late August, and the DOJ has not authorized me to disclose privileged information in this declaration. And so beginning during the morning of March 15th and throughout that weekend, I monitored developments related to this case and the gangbangers. On the evening of March 15th, 2025, I was aware of statements by the court during proceedings that day, the court's minute entries and other public filings on the docket sheet, and based on my evaluation of those materials, I contributed privileged legal advice to Kristi Noem. I communicated with Todd Blanche and General Counsel Joseph Mazzara about the transfer of custody. It's all privileged, and that's what you're going to get out of me, Judge Jeb. From the Third Circuit Court of Appeals judge called Emil Bove.